Crazy, 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 crazy over you. Crazy, I tell you that I'm crazy. So crazy that I'm hazy. Crazy over you. Crazy, without you, dear, I'm crazy.
The 80s and 90s were a magical time for horror comedies. Not that we don't get them now. I mean, every so often there's a Shaun of the Dead or a Bubba Hotep, but usually they're more along the lines of Scary Movie 2, or 3, or 4. Anyway, I'm not talking about spoof movies. I'm talking about that rare subgenre of horror comedy, the ridiculous horror comedy. Movies like Bad Taste, Wacko, and Surf 2, where just about anything can happen and you keep watching in sheer disbelief, waiting for the next over-the-top moment. Blood Diner fits squarely into this category. Blood Diner is a 1987 horror comedy from director Jackie Kong. The movie opens with a very unusual disclaimer, letting you know just what kind of movie you're in for.
Note, all of the mutilations, bodily dismemberments, and cannibal rituals were performed by seasoned professionals.
We then cut to Pee-wee's Playhouse, where brothers George and Michael, are playing in their living room while their mother goes out for tampons.
Ran out of goddamn tampons.
The radio announces there's a crazed serial killer on the loose.
He is armed and dangerous and has been spotted in the West Side area armed with a meat cleaver in one hand and his genitals in the other.
He seems to be walking pretty well for somebody who lopped off his genitals. The killer breaks into the house, and this seems to be an ongoing problem with horror films. Doors made from cardboard. Turns out the killer is the boy's Uncle Anwar. His accent sounds less Dracula and more the Count.
That's fine, Michael. That's very fine. And what about you, Georgie Porgy?
Uncle Anwar gives the boys some earrings from the goddess Cheetar before going outside to be shot by the police. I think the title missed its cue by a few seconds. Shouldn't it be like this? 20 years later, Michael and George are digging up their Uncle Anwar. Anwar always was a big fan of the Terminator. The world's least observant security guard is investigating and gets his eyes knocked out of his head. They take Anwar's brain and using some black magic, they bring it back to life.
And how are my two favorite nephews?
Anwar? Uncle Anwar?
Of course, who do you think it is?
How's the brain talking? Actually, never mind. If I'm not questioning the fact that there's a dead brain that was brought back to life, I shouldn't be questioning that it can talk, too. At the local police station, Officer Mark Shepard has the most mismatched voice this side of Hercules in New York.
What do you make of it, Mark?
Beats me, Chief. Seems like the work of pathological weirdos.
Somewhere a hipster is dreaming of owning those pants. Now that George and Michael are grown up, they own a health food diner, the Tutman Cafe. George is a super strong master chef, and Michael is a smooth-talking master of hypnotism. Oh, and of course the brothers are cannibals that serve human meat to their customers, somehow disguised as being vegetarian.
That's the best freaking veggie burger I've had in a son of a bitch long time.
Anwar tells them they need to reconstruct the body of the goddess Cheetar from the parts of many immoral girls, then bring her back to life in a ceremony called the Blood Buffet. Some high school cheerleaders are trying to convince the virginal Connie to join them for nude aerobics. Connie turns the girls down and they go without her. Michael gets their shopping list and 6 dog dicks? Wow, nude aerobics isn't fooling around. Even the camera girl is topless. One of the ex-presidents shows up and kills all the girls. Did this movie suddenly become Point Break? Michael and George are slicing up the girls to get parts for Cheetar.
My name is Sheeta.
The police are investigating the massacre. This seems like the appropriate response to a one-liner at a bloodbath.
Looks like someone had a do-it-yourself lunch meat party.
Officer Mark is set up with Officer Sheba, who may or may not be Tootie from The Facts of Life. The hell is Mark doing? George is obsessed with wrestling, especially the champion, Jimmy Hitler.
Little Jimmy Hitler.
Mr. Hitler! Not message of talents, Lance, turning you non-Arab scumheads who think that you're bad enough to mess with me, little Jimmy Hitler!
Michael and George are sewing the parts together to make a new body for Cheetar. They spray paint her gold, put her in men's underwear, and give her Lee press-on nails. Are they trying to resurrect a goddess or make a contestant for RuPaul's Drag Race? Michael and George put on disguises to go to Club Dread to get more parts for the Blood Buffet. Why bother to wear disguises if they're going to drive a van with their name on the side of it? The bouncer won't let them in, so George does this.
Inside, guys. Hey, Jason, you okay?
No, I don't think he's okay. The guys go into the club.
Be cool!
How cool can you be when you're dressed like Liberace? They pick up a couple of girls and convince them to go home with them. Sheba's getting some food, and what the hell is going on?
I'm impressed. You got the enema bag rapist? How about a date?
Remember when I said that this was a ridiculous horror comedy? Here's a perfect example of what I meant.
The place is packed all the time. It's their seasoning. It makes everything taste real good, and they keep it a real tight secret.
Michael batters and deep fries one of the girls. George cuts the other in half. Trespassers will be eaten. Stan, the guy who owns the diner across the street, is trying to find out what the Tutman's secret recipe is. George goes to get some parts and finds a couple getting ready to have sex. I can't show you too much of this, but take my word for it. Kung Fu naked chick. Officer Mark goes to talk to the cop who apprehended Anwar. Didn't this originally happen during the day? Michael and Connie go to see George fight Jimmy Hitler. Jimmy Hitler's winning the fight, but then George turns the tables when he bites a chunk out of him.
No! Yeah, you got it! Get him, All right!
Michael knocks out Connie and takes her to the blood buffet. They discover Anwar's been stolen by Stan. He's trying to get Anwar to tell him their secret ingredient. Officer Sheba tries to stop them, but Michael knocks her out. The boys cut off Stan's hands, and he very slowly crashes his car.
Make me a cripple, will ya? Cut off my hands and laugh about it, will ya?
Mark rescues Sheba. The boys are taking Shitar and Connie to the ceremony. They put Anwar's brain in Shitar's head. Why not? At the blood buffet, the boys get everybody good and drugged up. Rockabilly music is weird. Michael starts a ritual, and the crowd turns into green, ravenous zombie-type things. Shitar wakes up, and they try to sacrifice Connie to her, but Sheba steps in and stops them. What happened to her teeth? Now that Shitar's awake, she starts to kill everyone. Mark kills Michael and rescues Connie. Sheba kicks George, and Shitar eats him. The police are cleaning up the mess, and Shitar walks right past everyone. She gets into a car with a guy who uses nothing but the finest pickup lines.
Hey, baby. Right before I stick my big sausage in you, what do they call you?
They call me Shitar.
Blood Diner was shot in Los Angeles, California in about 3 weeks on a shoestring budget. Originally, the movie was conceived to be a sequel to the movie Blood Feast from 1963. However, before shooting started, they decided it would be more of just a tribute. Although in the end, the movie is sort of a remake of Blood Feast. In Blood Feast, an Egyptian caterer kills women and takes their body parts to resurrect an Egyptian goddess, all the while being tracked by clueless police officers. In Blood Diner, 2 Egyptian brothers kill women and take their body parts to resurrect an Egyptian goddess, all the while being tracked by clueless police officers. While the structure of the two movies is very similar, it's the execution that's different. While Blood Feast is goofy, Blood Diner is downright absurd. The movie was written by none other than Dookie Flyswatter himself, Michael Sagne. You know him from such classics as The Tomb, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers, and Surf Nazis Must Die. The movie was directed and produced by Jackie Kong. She's only directed 4 movies: the mutant monster movie The Being, the hilarious Night Patrol, the slapstick comedy The Underachievers, and, of course, Blood Diner. It's a shame she didn't do more. All of her movies are each good in their own way, with Blood Diner being her best achievement. It moved at a breakneck pace, and there was always something hilariously over the top happening. The film is never boring and is full of some of the most ludicrous dialogue you'll ever hear.
Do you want to come with us, Uncle Anwar?
No, you boys go. But don't make the same error I made by ravishing the Virgin before the sacrifice. I failed the mission, and for that disgrace, locked my schlang off on the day of the Glee Club massacre.
Carl Crew played George, and he's definitely the best part of the movie. His wacky demeanor, constant fighting, and daffy facial expressions made this movie that much more enjoyable. He stole every single scene he was in. Rick Burks played Michael. Michael was good in the role of the straight man to Crew's goofy George. Sadly, Burks died just 2 years after the film came out. Lionsgate owns the rights to Blood Diner, and for years it was only available on VHS. Rumors started coming out about a special edition DVD and even a commentary track that was recorded for the movie. Then nothing for months until finally the movie was unceremoniously dumped on DVD with no features in a 6-pack with 5 other films: Parents, Earth Girls Are Easy, Fido, Sundown, and Boy Eats Girl. Each of these movies had previously been released on DVD, and some even had a special edition. Blood Diner, though, got nothing. The only good thing is that they were nice enough to at least include the uncut version. Some of the best parts of the movie are how well they poke fun at various horror movie cliches. When one of the girls is being chased by George, she clearly has plenty of time to escape, but keeps going back because she forgot her purse, and then she spilled everything on the ground and has to pick it up, when if she would have just left the first time, she would have gotten away. It's a shame that movies like this don't get made very often. A gleefully disgusting romp where you know the folks involved were having a blast. Sure, there were a ton of elements that left you scratching your head, but if you're trying to make sense of all this, you're doing it wrong. Even though I went over the basics of this film, you haven't seen the half of it. It's so full of what the fuck moments, you'll be laughing long after it's over. This is truly one of the best horror comedies of all time.
Son of a bitch. Shit. Fucking car.
We want the mambo. ICC. We want the mambo. ICC. We want the mambo. Mambo.
Hey, hey!
All the kids want the mambo.
Well, what do you make of it, Mark? Looks like someone had a do-it-yourself lunch meat party.